G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Michael and today we're going to have a quick chat about optimising our paraquat efficacy in our plant phase sugarcane. So in the Burdekin region we're still putting 2,4-D with paraquat in our early spike knockdown sprays in our plant cane, and what this does is it's having a negative impact on our grassweed control. And today we're going to have a bit of a chat about why that's the case. So what I'm going to say next is probably a little bit controversial, but it's really important to understand how the different chemistries are behaving so that we can best apply them in a manner that's going to give us the best result. When we're chasing young grasses in small plant cane, the paraquat is what's doing a lot of the work. So even on your broadleaf weeds, it's doing the lion's share of the work on those weeds. We're putting 2,4-D in with that to try and pick up escapes of the broadleaf weeds, but the science tells us that the paraquat is doing mast cell damage around the droplet site on the leaf. It can be inside plant tissue and creating that mast cell damage within 15 minutes. 2,4-D can take anything up to 72 hours to penetrate that tissue, and then it needs to move about in the plant. So if we've destroyed all that structure around the droplet site, the 2,4-D actually has no ability, or very limited ability, to move away, get into the vascular system and move up to the growing point where it works. So from a scientific point of view, 2,4-D mixes with paraquat don't work. They're antagonistic to each other. So here in the Burdekin, we've all done the right thing. We've put compliant 2,4-D nozzles on our equipment, but the issue is we're putting paraquat through these. So in effect, what we're doing is we're throwing a beach ball at a very, very small target at a high water rate, and the result is we're seeing a reduction in efficacy on grasses. The knock-on effect from this is that now we're starting to add more and more and more things into that spray brew to try and compensate for the grasses that we're missing with the paraquat. So agronomically, how do we fix this issue? Paraquat is a coverage product. It requires good contact with lots of droplets across the target surface. It doesn't move in tissue. It only burns where it touches. So we are better off with a medium to coarse droplet coming out of our nozzle, as opposed to our 2,4-D compliant nozzle, which is an extra coarse, very coarse or extra coarse. So in essence, it's the difference between throwing a beach ball at a single blade of grass or throwing lots of tennis balls that are contacting the same target. The lots of tennis balls are smaller, they have less weight, and typically with the nozzles we would be using, they have a lower velocity. So they're less likely to ricochet off of the target surface and stay where we need them to. Whereas with the large droplet coming out of a 2,4-D compliant nozzle, it is more prone to ricochet, it is more prone to missing altogether, and even if you do get that droplet on the leaf, you're only going to get 1 or 2 instead of maybe 50. So therein lies the big problem. By pulling the 2,4-D out of the brew, going back to a coarse medium droplet for paraquat, we are exponentially increasing the efficacy on grasses, and in most cases we can just go with paraquat, a good quality wetter at the right rate, and get really good results. So I briefly mentioned it before, but I want to reiterate this other point that we need to understand. A lot of our paraquat products have actually moved to a higher loading. So you'll often be seeing a 330 or a 350 or a 360 strength paraquat product coming onto farm. And it's really important to understand that some of those high loading paraquat products do not have surfactant or wetting agent in the formulation already. Your old 250 versions all had a surfactant. Now some of them were better than others, but for the majority there was sufficient wetter in there already. We just needed to give it a bit of extra assistance because of the water rates we use in sugarcane. at about that 100 mils per 100 litres of the wetter. With these newer generation Paraquats, it's really important that you read the label, because the rate of wetting agent on the label is very specific and it's actually different to the label of the wetting agent. So typically speaking, you need to put 250 mils of a wetting agent with modern Paraquat formulations. It makes a really big difference on difficult to wet grass weeds such as lovegrass, and we're seeing the results in the paddock where farmers have mistakenly put a low rate of wetter in and realised and then gone to the higher rate of wetter for the next tank, and the results are chalk and cheese. They really helps that Paraquat do its job. Summing up, to get the best result out of Paraquat in our plant phase sugarcane, there's a couple of key points we need to consider. It's best if you remove the 2,4-D out of that spray. The Paraquat's doing most of the lifting, and we can put 2,4-D on a little bit later, say with our stomp. That's not a problem, and clean up anything that gets through. The second point is use the correct rate of wetter, and you'll find that your efficacy massively improves. The cost of your brew can then go way down, and you'll get a better result.